we're going to be talking all about the art of video creation in a way that creates impact with your audience and ignites conversions. And when I talk about conversions, I'm not just talking about sales conversions. We're going to dive into exactly what content really is meant for. And you might be surprised, but it's not meant to sell somebody. That's not what content is meant to do. This may be a non-popular opinion, but it's really not. So if you're putting out content and then you're complaining or, you're upset that people aren't buying from it, that's not what content does. So we're going to walk through exactly what I mean about that. And so today what we're going to do is we're going to dive into how do we use this in video? What do we say on video? And how do we do this to create really the biggest impact with our video content so that we keep them engaging, they keep following along. And then eventually the intention and the goal is to move them into that next stage of your client journey. So for some of you, as people keep getting to know, like, and trust you, they may start by watching a video or, consuming other content of yours. And then maybe you post something about, sign up for this free workshop. Then they come into your email list. Now they're in your workshop. So they're getting to know you through your workshop. From there, the next step is maybe getting on a consultation call. For us, we do brand audit calls. And then from there, if it makes sense, we make an offer, right? So that is a customer journey, a client journey. And so it's really important too, to know what that looks like for your own business. What I'm going to share with you today is going to help you to feel at least like people are on the other side. And I want you to know that most people watch on the replay, especially if you do this on your business page, right? So I'm going to encourage that what we're talking about today, that we do this on our personal profile. And if you have a tool where you can stream in multiple places, you may want to do it in multiple places. With that said, I want you to know the most effective way to show up is really just to be yourself. Okay. I've laughed at things that happen while I'm live. I snort when I laugh. I've snorted when I've laughed on video. I've done that when I've actually interviewed somebody on one of my live streams because I was laughing so hard. I'm just being myself. Okay. So here's the thing that I really challenge you between like watching the replays of this workshop through the end and then afterwards. I challenge you to find what is stopping you from really taking this action, because it goes much deeper than that, than feeling the awkwardness or feeling that you have no time. Because here's what I believe. Everyone on here has a mission. You have a passion for something. You want to make an impact. I believe that, especially as professional service providers, right? We wouldn't do what we do if we didn't care about others and how we can help others, right? So it goes deeper than feeling awkward or not having time. It's more about we really need to get out of our own way, okay? And yes, that awkwardness is part of that. But if we shift our focus to focus on how our message, our expertise can help someone else, it doesn't matter how awkward you feel. That should be the last thing that you're thinking about. So I want you to think about that. And that's truly being an intentional, conscious marketer. That's really what that means. I will say it's not easy, but it can become more simple over time. And it takes work. It took me a lot of work, but over time, it's just like anything else. With practice, you get used to it. You start to improve and refine, and you start to really tweak things and figure out what's working and what's not working. What I want to do is I want to shorten that amount of time for you so that you can fast track it. And that's what we do when we work together. What we do over the course of our time working together is really working on a deep level on all of these foundations that we talked about. And we move all the way to a place where you have the time to actually show up on video once a week, because it should not take you more than 15 minutes. The planning of going live once a week should only take you about an hour to do one time a month for 4 videos. But we work on that together. If you're doing it on your own, of course, it's going to take longer. So when you feel like it takes too much time to go live on video, it's because it just hasn't been planned out. But if you plan ahead of time, if you plan those topics, you plan 4 topics ahead of time. And today we're going to talk about, what do you say inside those videos? That's going to be all planned out ahead of time before you actually hit that go live button. It does not happen in the moment. And if you block yourself for like an hour once a month, that's it. Once a month, that's all that this should take. once a month to plan out 4 videos and the outline for 4 videos, all you do is you hit that go live button and you go live. There are some other things that you want to do before, right? So we do want to promote, we want to let people know, but I'm going to talk to you about how to do that really simply too. What I want to talk about here is the 3 elements to impact content and power videos. There's 3 very simple parts to this. The first element is we want to captivate our audience's attention. We want to grab their attention. And the way to do that is to start your content, whether it's written form content, like, text with an image, or maybe it's just text and no image, or maybe it's a video. We always want to start the first 3 seconds of a video or the first 1 or 2 lines of a post by grabbing their attention. And one of the best ways to grab people's attention is to start with a really intriguing insight or to pose a thought-provoking question. So have you ever felt like, OMG, I can't believe that, things like that really are, number one, they flow more naturally and they're not as polished. And you want to do that in your video, the way you speak, the way you articulate your message, and also in your content. We get very caught up in, wanting to be this super professional, because we are professionals, right? And we're experts and we have this image that we want to show. But what happens with that is that we also build this wall around us and we don't humanize ourselves and our content. And instead it comes off like, okay, this person just really wants to sell me instead of serve me and help me. And we also don't come off as social, right? And social media is meant to be social. So that's the first element. The second element is we want to activate our audience, and we activate them by providing valuable insights inside of the content, whether that's sharing some tips, whether it's sharing tips that they can implement right away, sharing credibility, sharing a resource, something like that, right? So we want to share value inside of that content. And then the last element is the call to action. This is so important. Even if you're just posting a quote that you love, I like to post an image of a quote, and then I'll say something like, on a scale from 1 to 10, does this resonate with you? That is a call to action. I'm really asking for my audience to engage with me. I want to hear from them. The next part of this is I want to share with you my video ritual that literally works every single time before I go live. Now, I will admit some of these I don't do anymore just because I've done so many, I'm used to it, but these things really do help, especially when you're getting started. And I'm talking specifically about going live. If you do this before you hit record on a video, it can work too. But for me, recording a video takes me 10 times longer than just going live, because when I record something, if I mess up or if I hesitate or if I stutter, I feel like I have to stop it and edit or start over, right? If I go live and I stutter, I just keep going like I'm having a conversation with someone. So there's no editing that needs to be done. So the first thing is talk to yourself. Talk to yourself before you hit that go live button. Literally talk to yourself. Say some affirmations. And I know this might sound a little silly, but I don't know about you. I talk to myself all day long. So sometimes my kids will be home and they're like, Mom, what did you say? I'm like, no, I'm just talking to myself. So talk to yourself before you go live. Say some affirmations to yourself. Write some affirmations down that really speak to you and that empower you, and say them over and over again. The other thing is, remember, you are looking at yourself in the camera, although I do want you to think more of staring in the camera lens when you're going live versus looking down. When you're going live, like on Facebook or even Instagram, you always want to look into the camera because that allows your audience, even that one person, to feel as if you are looking straight at them. And it's really, really helpful. So talking to yourself, looking in the camera, wearing something fun, something that shows your style. So sometimes you'll see with these, it really was to hopefully put a smile on all of your faces, but I wanted to be super hyper focused for you all. So I put those on when I started. Wear something fun because you're going to be staring at yourself, or at least be seeing yourself. Maybe it's a bold lipstick. Maybe it's, if you like earrings, maybe it's nice, big, chunky earrings. That's just also going to empower you and just make you feel really good. The next thing, practice, practice, practice. You do not need to go live for the very first time to the whole world first. Okay. Practice. The next thing, have an outline. After you have your outline, you've planned ahead of time, you want to announce ahead of time that you're going live. You want to let people know in stories that morning. Let people know a few days in advance in a post, and again in a post that morning. You could do a quick little reel and say, hey, 30 minutes, I'm going to be going live over on my personal profile about blank, blank, blank. Make sure to, join me over there. So announce ahead of time on social, announce ahead of time in your email list. So if you have an email list, you got to let them know and include the link to where that video is going to show up, right? So sometimes people are like, nobody shows up on my videos. Well, did you let people know, right? If you don't let people know, they're not going to know. And if your engagement is really low on social media, then you need to start working on things to boost that engagement so that people do see that you're going live when you go live. The last thing that I want to share is that, as far as this is concerned, is that the more real that you are, the better. You do not need to have this glamorous setup. I want to show you right now what this looks like behind the scenes. So first thing, this is not a real wall. This is a felt material. I actually had this custom made. This is not a real chandelier. I would love that, but that's not it. This is actually in my office, but it's a partition that I have covered. I do love hydrangeas, so I always have hydrangeas next to me. I am in front of a window because natural light is the best, but you don't need to be. Okay, so you definitely want to have light behind your camera. If not, it's going to be way too dark. Right now I have earbuds in. I am using a mic, but I'm going to tell you something. I've been doing live video since 2011, and I just got this mic last year. Okay. I did get a Blue Yeti mic. You don't need that. I would recommend earbuds or plugging them into your laptop if you're going to use desktop, because the sound is just much better. And I do recommend an external camera. That is the only expense that I would say if you're going to be doing it on a laptop because of the quality of the image, right? A phone is great though, too. So when I do my weekly value-based videos, which is power value-based videos, which is really what we're talking about, that's like 10 or 15 minutes, I always do it in my office. That's why I do it from my laptop. But if I'm out and about and I'm doing a short form video, like a reel, a lot of times I'll do them while I'm on my walks. So that's going to happen on my phone. And they're not planned out. They're kind of like when things pop in my mind that I really want to share. Let me show you my camera. So I have a Logitech. It's a Logitech C93 or something like that. And I want to show you the difference and why I use this. So I'm going to switch my camera and I'll show you the actual camera too. This is the camera that comes with my laptop. You notice that difference? It's a huge difference. This is the camera that I use. Big difference, right? So the quality, and it's just more crisp and you can see me better. And then I do also have a ring light. So I do have a large ring light behind me or in front of me as well. I'll show you that one really quick. So this is the ring light. It's not on right now though. You see, it's actually a tall tripod. It does convert into this tall tripod, which I love. So that is my setup. It's that simple. It doesn't need to be, more than that. You don't need a private studio to do this. I promise. And here's the thing. Nowadays, people, they just want like raw and real. That's the bottom line. They're less about everything being like super perfect because they've seen it all. They want real human connection. Okay. I've had stuff like fall on top of me. I've had my dog, jump on me. I've had my kids come in. It's just real life and it's okay. All right. Okay. So let's talk about the video outline. Okay. What is this going to look like? What are you going to say? When are you going to say what to have the biggest impact? So there are 6 parts to this. All right. And the very first thing you want to do when you start your video is you want to have that hook. And that could be stating a problem. For example, how would you like to increase your engagement by 10% in 30 days? Okay, that could be my hook. Or do you ever feel like you spend an hour creating content and then you post it and you get crickets? That's a hook. Okay, so that's going to be the very first thing that comes out of your mouth is going to be your hook. The second thing is you're going to say something like, okay, if this sounds like you are in the right place because today I'm going to give you 3 tips on how to literally increase your engagement in less than 30 days. So what I just did is I gave a solution. So the first is you state a problem / hook. Second thing, you state the solution. Third thing is you are going to create engagement by saying something like, if you're new to me, if you're new to my space, if you're new to my world, and you guys, obviously you use your own personality and your own words, but this is typically what I say. I'll say, if you're new to my world, let me know down below. Let me know where you're tuning in from, what your business is about, and feel free to self-promote, drop a link to your business, right? The point of that is I want people to start commenting if they're watching live. And if they're watching on the replay, I don't forget about them either. The next thing that I'll say is, and if you're watching this on the replay, please don't be shy. Drop your comments down below and questions. I always come back to answer you. I'm going to do a quick little recap. The first part is state your problem / hook, depending on how you word that. Number 2, the solution that you're going to give. Number 3, engagement. Number 4, now is when you introduce yourself. You notice how I didn't introduce myself, or I'm not going to introduce myself till about 2 minutes in. I find many people do is the first thing that they do is they introduce themselves. And here's why we don't do that, because nobody cares. I'm not trying to be, rude about it, but nobody cares who I am. They want to know what is in it for them to spend the next 10, 15 minutes, or even 3 minutes or 1 minute or 30 seconds, if it's a short video, to watch this, because people move quick on social media. It moves fast, right? So if I'm going to take time out of my day, even if it's 30 seconds, I want to know what I'm in for. And so that's why you don't need to introduce yourself till you're about 3 minutes in, which is probably going to take you about that time when we're doing it like this for a power video. Now, your introduction. Remember when we worked on your value positioning statement? That's where that goes. So it's not like, my name is Ginna Tassinelli. I'm the owner of blank, and you leave it at that. No. Hi, my name is Ginna Tassinelli. I'm the owner and founder of Hype Media, and I work with established experts just like yourself to help you become an online irresistible go-to solution to premium clients without the overwhelm and trendy tech. That's it. Keep it nice and short, but they know exactly who I am, who I help, and how I help them. Okay, number 5 is we restate the problem or question or hook, and then we go into our tips and insights. So how do you gain engagement in less than 30 days? Okay, the first thing you want to do is blank. The second thing you want to do is blank. The third thing you want to do is blank. Try to stick to 3 tips or 3 insights, because 3 seems to be a magic number. And if you go past 3, you sometimes lose your audience. Now, I will tell you, I love to talk. So there are some videos where I'm like giving 10 tips, or I'm giving 10 reasons why something, right? But just to share with you in all transparency, sticking to the number 3, number 1, it's easier for you, and it's also easier on people. So there may be a time where you feel like you have to give more, and that's okay. But in general, sticking to that magic number 3 works really well. And then the 6th thing is your call to action. So I might say something like, if this was helpful to you and you're missing out on engagement right now, say the word ignite down below, and let's schedule a brand audit call, and I'll show you how you can quickly increase your engagement by showing you where you need to close some gaps in your marketing. They say the word ignite below. Later on, I'll go back and I'll respond to their comment, and I'll say, hey, thank you, Suzette, for saying the word ignite. I'm going to shoot you a quick message to schedule a call with me. Then I go into DMs or personal messages, and I send her a personal message, and I say, hey, Suzette, thank you so much for your comment on my live video about, engagement. I saw that you commented ignite. I'd love to get on a call with you. Here's the link to my call. By the way, I might say something like, what inspired you to want to schedule a call? That way I can get a little bit more information. Sometimes we start a conversation right then and there. And, I've even got a new client like that quickly without even getting on the call. But I'm creating the connection. It's more personable. And then the bonus one is remind your audience when you're going to be back again. Even if it's the same every single week, remind people. They don't know the schedule, right? So I typically will say, I'll see you next week, same time, same place, 12 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday. All right, this was wonderful. And until then, thank you. Bye.